Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade is a hard-hitting and meticulous third-person shooter that combines elements of games like Battlefield and Gears of War to create a mostly fun, team-driven experience. I'm Colt from MMOHuts.com, and here's our first look at Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade. Eternal Crusade is kind of a marvel by today's standards. It manages to feel like a completely unique third-person shooter without abandoning hallmarks of the genre that work well. The game pits teams of 15 or more players against each other in a series of attack and defend matches across a handful of different maps. Players can pick from a number of different classes, each with dedicated roles, and, well, can isn't the right word. You have to. Certain in-game actions can only be performed by certain classes, so if your squad doesn't have a variety, you're setting yourself up for failure. This is a great, if not somewhat harsh way to ensure that players are utilizing all the different classes and loadouts. Eternal Crusade's archetypes are ranged, support, heavy, melee, and jump classes. Players who meet certain requirements during a game and spend requisition points to do so may unlock elite classes, which allow them to play as an upgraded class until their next death. Hero classes also function in this way, but have a much steeper requirements and a 24-hour cooldown once used. Another thing the game does well is encouraging you to stick together with your squad and to think about how you approach each fight. The game has friendly fire, so running out ahead of your team is a quick way to get shot in the back. A lot. There are vehicles as well, but all of them require more than one person to operate and be effective combat tools. When piloted correctly, they're fun and a huge advantage in open spaces and in sieging certain types of structures. The game offers plenty of options to deal with vehicles, but some, like tactical classes Melta-Bombs, are arguably more effective than others. That said, destroying one is incredibly satisfying, especially if there are enemies on foot that happen to be nearby and try to stop you only to get caught in the explosion. Like many free-to-play games, Eternal Crusade offers an in-game store where players can buy cosmetic items for their characters. The game's shop also features weapons and shields for your character to use, and I will say that it did strike me as a pay-to-win situation at first, especially since each of the highest-tiered weapons was $10 a piece. When compared to the default loadout, though, the stats were nearly identical. The top-tier sword, for example, does the same amount of damage per strike as the standard Chainsword. The only differences between the stock and the premium sword, aside from the $10 price tag, are the durability rating and the durability regen rate. Since it's only a few points better than the plain sword, I'm not sure that this constitutes pay to win. It is an advantage, but almost all of the weapons sold for real-world money are recreatable by modifying base weapons. I don't think this is enough to justify calling it truly pay to win, but it rides the borderline pretty hard. Eternal Crusade has its problems. The game crashed a lot during its initial setup for me, but once I was able to actually get in-game, I didn't have that problem anymore. This did cause one major issue for me though, in that it crashed while loading the tutorial and never gave me the option to go back and do it. It's worthy of note also that players on Steam have been reporting server and lag issues, especially for those players outside the US or not specifically on the East Coast. I live in Virginia, and in the time I played, I didn't notice any of these problems, but there are enough reviews that it's hurting the listing on Steam, so it's worth mentioning. The developers have taken notice though, and made posts about it on the game's main forums, so the server issues are being investigated and fixed for those that are having them. Overall, Eternal Crusade is a neat class-based shooter that focuses on large-scale battles, and is one of the first games I've played that successfully captures the atmosphere and feeling of the Warhammer 40k universe. The game is hampered by some minor stability issues, and the in-game cash shop is worrisome to say the least, but the actual gameplay experience it provides is incredibly fun. I give Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade a still cheaper than actual Warhammer out of 10. Well, that's all for today. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and keep it locked on MMOHuts.com for all the latest gaming news and reviews.